Hey guys, welcome to Unbiased Rugby. This week we're going to be looking at week 15 of Super Rugby, so we're looking at the predictions for this week. I think there's 7 games this weekend. Only the Blues have a bye this week, but it actually looks like quite a good weekend of rugby. So let me just go straight through to the predictions and then we can do a bit of updating afterwards. So the first game of the weekend, which is, I think is going to be a cracker of a game. We've got the Crusaders versus the Hurricanes. Two teams top of the log of the New Zealand conference. It was quite interesting. I was listening to another podcast and they were talking about the New Zealand conference, and it actually is those two teams. You have to win the conference. The next best position for a team would probably be 6th position for the New Zealanders, which would be where the Chiefs are at the moment, because then you don't end up playing quite a heavy team. You don't have to travel so far. I think six at the moment would be the Chiefs versus the Waratahs, but whoever comes second in the New Zealand conference has obviously got quite a lot of travelling. They'll be travelling quite far. I don't know if they may even have to travel all the way to. And imagine that Jaguars become top of the African conference, then whoever has to win that conference has to travel all the way to Argentina, which could be really change the whole makeup of the game of the tournament. So yeah, it's super interesting. This game on Friday is probably the most anticipated game of the week. A lot of pundits out there have been saying it's a Crusaders game because it's a home game. I've actually gone in another direction. I've said the Hurricanes by 7. Even though I know the Crusaders at home are super strong, maybe they're 2 props down. I'm not too sure, but I've just got a feeling it's the Hurricanes weekend this week, and the Hurricanes by 7. And it's amazing. I think they're 46 and 45 on the log, 41 or 42. I can't remember offhand where they are on the log, but. It'd be so close if they're within 7 points. That is such a tight conference there right at the top, and I think that's going to be a cracker of a game. So I'll take some time off work and actually watch that game. Next game of the weekend is the Rebels versus Sunwolves. Sunwolves travelling all the way to Rebels country. I know the Sunwolves are coming off two wins. But I think playing the Rebels at home, the Rebels haven't had such a great time this season. Sorry, I'm just trying to get to the actual page where I can actually see the logs. If it'll take me there, I'm not 100% sure if it will. It doesn't. Okay, it's taken me there. Yay. Okay, just so I can see the logs on the side here. So if I look at where the Rebels are, the Rebels. I know they won their last game, but they lost the five before that. But I still think playing it at home, I think the Rebels have that game. It's tight. I've got the Rebels by 10. So and all these scores that I'm giving you are part of my Super Bru. So these are the scores that I've locked in place. I'm second last place in my Super Bru. I'm going for the wooden spoon award, but at least in my pool, somebody who gets the wooden spoon actually wins money. So maybe I'll be able to pay for next year's pool. Next game for the weekend. This is a tough one. Jaguars versus the Sharks. Sure, if you've been watching my show, you'll know that I always go for the South African sides for the win. I always follow my heart. I never follow my head. And so I've put them again. I've said Sharks to win this game by 4. I still have a feeling that the Highlanders will do 6 in the row, 6 on the trot, which is seriously impressive. The only other team that has done 6 are the 2 top teams from New Zealand. So I think the Highlanders are just mowing through all the teams, but have to follow my heart. Sharks by 4 in my Super Bru. Let's see if I get it. Then hey, I'll be the only one in my pool to actually get some points. Next game of the weekend, I've got the Chiefs versus the Waratahs. I think because they're playing in Hamilton, I've gone with the Chiefs on this game. I know the Waratahs are coming off quite an impressive victory, a seriously impressive victory, and I think I've never really given the Australian sides fair due. And Waratahs did win it a couple of years ago, so I've got to say that the Waratahs are an impressive side. They've got great players. They seem to be making fewer mistakes. They know when to go forward with their forwards. They know when to use their back line. I think Israel Folau is brilliant under the high ball. So I think they have the pedigree to be able to take it. Hope Foley can actually get his kicks right, because it seems like a lot of the games now it's all about scoreboard pressure. The Sharks have shown that quite well, that it's just keep taking those threes, and eventually you build that scoreboard pressure, and after three penalties, that's a converted try that you more than a converted try that you have to take to win the game. But I've got the Chiefs by 12. I think the Chiefs, even though they're going to be missing some of their big players, I still think the Chiefs at home are a much stronger side. Next game of the week, we've got the Reds versus the Highlanders. I know the Highlanders have come off a serious hiding last week from the Waratahs, and I know they're playing at Suncorp Stadium, and I know they in Australia, but I just have a feeling the Highlanders are going to bounce back, and they're going to bounce back hard. So I've put the Highlanders by 23. That's normally when I put such big scores, I'm normally blown out of the water, but I've put the Reds. I know the Reds can win, but I just think I'm looking here. I'm looking at the 8 games, the last 8 games and 7 games, and they've only won 1. So played 11, won 4. So I still give it to the Highlanders, and by quite an impressive score. Next game of the weekend is at Loftus, and that's Bulls versus the Brumbies. I know the Bulls were convincingly beaten last week, by 30 points. I still think playing on the half felt is tough for any side. The Brumbies are coming off a loss against the Lions. I know they must be quite acclimatised, because Joburg and Pretoria are quite close to each other, so like an hour's drive. So they're both in the half felt, so they must be acclimatised to the thing. But comes to fitness and that kind of thing, I think I have the Bulls taking it also quite convincingly. They're also going to be hurting. So I've got the Bulls by 17. Let's see if the team that I support actually do get a good victory, because I think, look, five victories 5 wins this season is pretty impressive for a team that came really in the I think they were second last from last year, so they're now in the middle of the log, so which is I think is impressive. Last game of the weekend. They're not. Oh, they're playing it. Oh, they're playing at Newlands. I'm hoping I can get to this game. No, not that I support either one of the sides. I just think, I've for quite a while I've watched all these games, and I've always gone, the stadiums are empty. The stadiums are empty. And look, guys, it takes me. It's at least an hour and a half's drive just to get to Newlands from me. So it's a bit of a day out. But I'm really going to try. I'm going to try to go watch this game live. I've been promising for the last couple of weekends to do it, and I've always complained about the stadiums. So I'm thinking, maybe I should put my money where my mouth is. What they say, walk the walk, not talk the talk. So I'm going to try to get to the game. I don't know who I'm going to support. I'm going to have to buy a jersey somewhere along the line. I think I might support the Lions. That's where I grew up. So. Yes, but I've got the Lions by 13. I know the Stormers are pretty impressive when they play at home, but I just have a feeling that the Lions are going to take it. But yeah, that's my predictions for this week. I still think the game of the weekend is going to be the Crusaders versus the Hurricanes. I think they're both teams that are incredibly on form. Most New Zealand sides have excellent derbies. It is a little bit unfair that their derbies are a lot harder than ours. But I wouldn't say that when I watch the Bulls versus the Sharks, but their derbies are seriously difficult, and I think they're going to have to really watch their player management. But I was listening to another interesting podcast where they're talking about central contracting. I'm a big believer in central contracting, for not for all the players, but for most of the top players. And it's interesting that that the top two nations in the world at rugby, which we're talking New Zealand and Ireland, they have centrally contracted players. So their player management is controlled centrally so they dictate how their players are played for the provinces or for the franchises. And I think if I look at classic examples, Malcolm Marx, he shouldn't have been playing so many games. He was is such an integral part of South African rugby that a player like that is bigger than the Lions. We need him more than the Lions need him. I don't know if I'm making sense there, but I'm not saying he shouldn't have played any games, but like every third game maybe rest, or maybe once a month have 2 weekends off. Our big players need their time off, and looking at the injuries that are happening with Lurt, who had an excellent season, he should have also been rested, and maybe having central contracting would have improved that. I think our top players should be centrally contracted and loaned basically out to the franchises. So Russie gets to decide how those players are played. But yeah, on another note, my next show that I want to do on the Springboks, we're going to talk about Wales and England. I've actually got 2 games on my PVR that I've started watching. So I've got Scarlets versus Glasgow. I think it's the one semi-final for the Pro 14. I'm super impressed with Scarlets. Sure, they play such an exciting brand of rugby. Even Glasgow, I was seriously impressed. Very expansive styles, and I wasn't expecting that. Look, I've watched Scarlets before, and I've always been impressed with the way they play rugby. And I know that the Welsh side is made up quite a lot of Scarlets players. So I'm looking at that and using it as a gauge of what Warren Gatland might be bringing to the party in the USA against Wales. And then I'm at the same time I'm also watching I'm watching the other semi-final between Saracens and Wasps to try to see what Eddie Jones is going to bring in the England tour. Look, I know they're saying, listen, they're going to rest some players, and they have rested some players, and they're using it as a building phase. But let's be honest, I'm sure they want to win the tour. So, but I was watching it last night, and they've got some impressive players playing in the UK. That Billy Vunipola, his brother Mako Vunipola, Mario Toje. And what was so impressive with Saracens was the way that they play. And I think England play fairly similar to it. They bash you and bash you and bash you and bash you and bash you. They just keep on going up the middle, keep up using the forwards. But they always seem to be going over the gain line. So it's just interesting. I'm going to watch those 2 things and then just try to pick it out. And then we can try to gauge what kind of team Russie's going to choose, what kind of game plan would probably work against those sides. Because I don't think Basham kind of style of rugby is going to beat those 2 teams. I think it's a combination, Basham and expansive. So, but yeah, that's for my next show. But listen, guys, that's my show for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked the predictions. Please put your predictions down below. It's just nice to see what other people are thinking. Just tell me if I'm being an idiot, and my predictions are a bit off. But yeah, please share my video if you can. Please like it if you can. And yeah, if you've got any comments about the upcoming video about the Springbok video, especially about Wales and England, be interesting to see what you guys have to say. And then I can look at it and maybe we can discuss it in the next game. But listen, guys, thanks very much. Those are my predictions for the week. Chat soon. Cheers.